I speak a second language, right? And the owner of the restaurant also speaks that other language. And I had never met the owner before. I don't even know who this guy is or anything like that. And for some reason, he decides to come visit the store on the day that I'm tripping on acid.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, so he comes in and I'm meeting him for the first time and he's all speaking in this other language. And I'm like speaking in the other language too, like trying to keep up. Like, and I'm just like, oh, like this is stressful, right? Whatever. Like I'm already like tripping. Like hopefully he doesn't realize how up I am.
This is modern day Hippie. We are your homies who've done nearly every drug under the sun. Over 600 psychedelic trips and nearly every kind of bender you can possibly imagine have armed us with a universe of knowledge. I'm Yuki, and with my co-host Reggie, we talk about how we do drugs in a responsible, safe, and fun way to improve our lives. Before we dive in, and so we don't get sued, a quick legal disclaimer.
This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. Our goal is to educate and inform others about the realities of substance use in an engaging and entertaining format. We share these experiences so you can learn from them without trying them yourself. By listening to this podcast, you agree not to attempt to recreate anything found in this episode or in any of our other content. We are not confessing to any acts stated in this podcast. The content in this episode should not be treated as factual or real in any way.
With that, we welcome you through our portal and hope you enjoy the show. What's up, hippies? Hope you're having a vibey day so far. Today, we're going back into the archives and Reggie's going to share what I think is one of the funniest stories from our college days. So buckle up and get ready for this absolute roller coaster of a ride.
Damn, dude, it's been a while since I've told this story or really thought about it, honestly, but it was honestly pretty freaking crazy for me. I'm not going to lie to you. So back in college, one of my fraternity brothers was the manager at this small restaurant, and it's like a Mediterranean restaurant where they just like sell like gyros and shawarma and shit. And it's kind of like a fast casual. So you have like, most people are just like going in to order or get a lot of like the online orders and like the Uber Eats type shit, you know?
Yeah. And this
but
was
there's
like
no drive through or anything.
Yeah. And this was a super popular restaurant on our campus as well. Like this was a go-to. I know it was open late night. So a lot of people would go pretty late. And I know when we first started college, it was actually a fantastic deal. You could get these massive like rice bowls with like, a little bit of salad, like gyro meat, whatever, for like $7 or $8, and it was so much food. And granted, by the time we left college, it had gotten literally like twice as expensive, if not more.
Dude, it went from like $8 to $14 for the same bowl. Like
no, straight
by
up.
the time we graduated, which is
ridiculous. That was egregious. But in its glory days, this place was like a regular haunt for a lot of students at our college, in which there were a lot of freaking people going to this restaurant on a regular basis.
Yeah, this place was hopping.
Yeah, dude, especially like Thursday, Friday nights, like before people were going out. Like this was a good pre-night of partying meal. Like you just load up on carbs and calories and then just go be a degenerate for the next like 8 hours.
Yeah, so pretty much my fraternity brother was a manager, and he was like telling me, like complaining to me a bunch about how like, man, like nobody wants to like work here or whatever. Like we need more employees. Like it's too busy. Like we're like understaffed, whatever. You know, stereotypical like fast food restaurant dilemma. Like it's like everywhere. It's like that. And it was especially bad during that time because it was like during the pandemic. So like everything was still like more or less like locked down. They were kind of like coming out of it a bit, but it was still like the restaurant didn't accept cash. Like that's like the vibe that I'm saying. I'm like the employees wore masks, you know what I mean? And so I was like, you know what, man, I got you. I'll work there, bro. Like I'm a 5th year senior. Like I'm not doing anything else. Like honestly, like my classes, like I already took all the hard classes. I'm doing some bullshit classes right now. Like I could like make a little bit extra money on the side and just do it.
No, and honestly, I feel like especially among our fraternity, this was the place you worked at that was almost like a rite of passage. It's like so many people we know have worked here. Like it was kind of a vibe to go and work there. It was that or like our local like college bar. I feel like those were the two spots where I knew the most people who worked at from our friends or our fraternity.
Dude, our frat definitely like ran that restaurant and that bar. Like when we were there, like everyone who worked there was like either new or like was affiliated with the fraternity and stuff, which was pretty cool. So it was like one of those cool connect types things. But I mean, it wasn't like a high paying job or anything. It was like $10 an hour plus tips, which to be fair, like you got a lot of tips. Like at that place because of how busy it was. And super side note, just totally side note, I think a big reason that there were so many tips was because of the user interface for like the point of sale, because it prompts you to tip. You know what I'm talking about, dude?
Yeah,
Where it's like 15% is like the default or whatever. Man, I kind of hate that shit, low-key.
I mean, dude, you guys were ahead of the curve with that, because now I feel like every restaurant is like that. Like if you want to not leave a tip, like you need to go into like other and type in 0. And it's like, I feel bad when I don't tip, like inherently. I would like to, but just some of the types of businesses that ask for tips now, it's just like, you're handing me my Chipotle or something.
Literally,
like,
yeah.
Dude, that literally reminds me. Have you seen the meme where it's like, you get pulled over by the police officer, and after they write you their ticket, they pull out an iPad and it's like, tip screen, 15% minimum.
It was literally that same screen, bro, like that we had at the restaurant. But you know what the craziest part is, dude? Is that I guess maybe part of it was that like the restaurant was kind of ahead of its time for having that. Dude, I had no idea if someone left a tip or not. Like as the cashier, it literally didn't show me what the person pressed or anything like that. And I couldn't see their screen because it's on the other side. And at the time during COVID and shit, there was like it wasn't, they didn't like put up a barrier or anything, but like there was like social distancing, like type of shit happening. And like we wouldn't even like check their credit card type of shit. Like they would have to like scan it themselves. But yeah, dude. So people would like apologize to me and stuff. And I'm like, what? No, dude, you're totally good. Like, I don't care. I also wouldn't like know if you didn't apologize.
Yeah.
You're at the club and the music is thumping, but you've got nothing left in the tank. So what do? Sniff some cacao. Yup, you heard that right. Sniff some cacao. It's the hottest new trend in the club and party scene. One bum-sized sniff of raw chocolatey powder contains the caffeine equivalent to a half cup of coffee, and boom, it hits instantly. And the best part is you can now sniff cacao anytime, anywhere. Right out in the open, in front of the DJ booth or the stage, even at the VIP table with your friends. Now, how does that happen without drawing unwanted attention? Snogo's spring-loaded bump straws make it possible. These classy, triple mirror polished bump straws are the safest, most discreet way to enjoy sniffing cacao. In fact, you've most likely already seen people wearing Snogo's bump straws as pendants around their necks without even knowing it. Discover why sniffing cacao using Snogo bump straws is being called the biggest revolution in partying since the invention of rock and roll. Jump on over to snogostraws.com to learn more. That's SNOGOSTRAWS.com and use discount code MDH15 at checkout for 15% off your entire order.
But anyways, so I accepted that job and I was working it. It was fun, whatever, right? But I didn't take it too seriously, obviously, because I was just doing it for funsies, and it's not like I really needed the money. And so one day, me and some buddies were tripping on acid. We did a bunch of acid, and then we went to like the downtown of our city. And we're having a great time, dude. Like, this is like super lit trip. like we're exploring downtown. We're walking there. Like, we're walking for like decent amount, like over a mile easily, just to get to downtown. And then I get a notification on my phone saying that I have a shift coming up at that restaurant. And I was like, dude, no fucking way. Right? I was like, there's no chance I'm going, bro. I'm tripping so fucking hard. Like, there's no chance I'm going to work. And so I start trying to like text people to cover my shift and shit. And then everybody's like, nah, bro, you're on your own. And I didn't tell anyone I was tripping because I was like, dude, like, no, I can't be exposing myself like that.
Right.
So then I hit up my fraternity brother, the manager, and I'm like, hey, bro, like, what happens if I don't come in? And he's like, honestly, man, like, it's my ass on the line. Like, like, you know, like, you don't have to, like, necessarily, like, obviously, like, I can't stop you from not going in, but like, I'm the one who's gonna have to like deal with the consequences and everything. Right. And I'm like, I didn't even tell him I was on acid or anything, dude. I was like, you know what? Don't worry, bro. I got you. I'm gonna make sure to be there.
That's a whole me. That's a whole me move right there. Dude, wait, also,
yeah.
Just out of curiosity, did you know you had a shift that evening?
No,
or whatever?
No, I didn't know I had a shift, bro. No, I wasn't the one who made the schedule, so I didn't even know what the schedule was.
Okay.
I did not realize I had a shift because I don't know. They schedule you on different days sometimes over there. So whatever.
Right.
And like, this isn't just like one of my fraternity brothers, bro. This is like my pledge brother, bro. Like, we went through pledge ship together. So I'm not about to hoe him, dude. So I was like, all right, dude. Like, yeah, like, I'll be there. Don't worry about it. So I Uber over to, to this restaurant, bro. And I was like, fuck. And this is where the COVID shit really worked in my favor, dude. Because first of all, no cash. So I didn't have to deal with fucking counting out change and shit. I would have not been okay. I would not have been okay counting out change and everything and doing math. Yeah. Second of all, the uniform included a cap, and because of COVID, I had to wear a mask. So I was already like super incognito, like pretty much like
Nice.
not too far off from what I'm wearing now, except you could see my eyes.
Hey, the eyes tell a lot though.
Yeah, I saw a
but true.
lot. Yeah, if I just put that cap real low, you know?
Feel that.
And dude, so the way that this restaurant worked was that there's two on busy days, and this was the busiest day of the week, by the way, the busiest shift of the busiest day of the week. There's two cashiers, and typically one of them is working the front and like doing like most of the work, and then the other one is like filling up the sauces in the back, which is literally just like manual work of like filling up sauces. And so I'm like, whatever, like let's get into this, whatever. So at first, like me and the other cashier, but then when we needed sauces, the other cashier like leaves, and I'm manning everything by myself. And holy fucking shit, dude!
Wait, hold on.
Not
Why did the other cashier leave?
to do the sauces in the back, dude.
Oh, I see.
That's
I
just-
see. You guys
yeah,
switched
that's how
off.
it
So
worked,
you're
yeah.
basically
We,
like
like,
the
would switch
register
off.
solo.
Right. So I was pretty much running the
Gotcha.
entire front of the restaurant solo, and
Yeah.
like literally the cooks didn't speak English, so like everything went through me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And so, oh man, it was kind of brutal, dude. Because this is an era where it's the busiest shift of the day, busiest time of the day, busiest day of the week, and I am getting swamped with phone calls for orders. Like every system for some reason at this restaurant at the time had a different system for each delivery thing. So like Uber Eats
Right.
had its own system, Favor had its own thing, DoorDash had its own system, and they all had their own different dings and chimes, bro. So I'm just like standing here, like bagging up food, hearing a ding here and a chime here and having to know which one's which and going to it, picking up the phone calls, answering it, talking to customers who are actually walking in, and like handing out orders, like to go orders, like taking orders, like at the same time. And I'm just like, fuck, dude, it was like a lot. And like, and like, that sounds, dude, honestly, it makes me appreciate like being sober. Cause I'm like, damn, like I do all that shit sober and it's nothing. It's like literally a $10 an hour job to do that shit. But like on acid, like, damn, everything's just on hard. And it culminated in a moment where this guy came up to pick up his order, and he was like, yeah, order for Tom. And I'm like looking at the little order receipts, and I was like, oh yeah, Palm, here it is. And he's like, oh no, like Tom, like with a T. And I was like, oh yeah. And I'm looking at the receipt, bro, and this shit says Tom, like Tom. And I'm reading it for some fucking reason. I read Palm, Pom. And I'm like, oh yeah, Palm with a P. And then I'm like handing it to him, and he looks at the receipt, sees that it's his, and just takes it and leaves. And I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, he knows I'm fucked up.
Dude, I think it also works in your favor that this is very much a establishment where I would actively expect the employees to be like at least stoned while they're working. Like it's
Yeah.
it's like a pretty mellow spot, you know. It's like it's very chill, like not like hole in the wall vibes, but like it's a low key spot, you know.
It's a low key spot, but it has its audience for sure. But dude, I didn't even get to the best part, dude.
All right.
So I speak a second language, right? And the owner of the restaurant also speaks that other language. And I had never met the owner before. I don't even know who this guy is or anything like that. And for some fucking reason, he decides to come visit the store on the day that I'm tripping on acid.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, fuck. So he comes in, and I'm meeting him for the first time, and he's all speaking in this other language, and I'm like speaking in the other language too, like trying to keep up, like, and I'm just like, oh fuck, like this is stressful, right? Whatever. Like I'm already like tripping, like hopefully he doesn't realize how fucked up I am. So I talk to him, whatever. He goes to the back, and then like I like get through the rush essentially, and I was like, oh thank God. And then at a certain point when like it looked like I might have been like a bit overwhelmed in my mind, at least, the other cashier finally comes back from doing the sauces, and she's like, oh yeah, here, I could take over. Like, and I was like, that. So I go to the back to do the sauces, right? And I'm out here thinking like, oh, this is gonna be chill now. Like all I gotta do is fill up these sauces and these little canister things.
Wait, bro, hold on. How many
things.
of these sauces are there to fill up if there's like a full on like sauce shift? Like what?
Bro, you have no idea how much sauce people go through, bro. You know
Really?
those little cups, bro? Yeah, because they make the sauce in the
Oh,
back
like little
too,
like
so
the
it's
small
like,
like solo cups for like
yeah,
to go orders.
exactly.
Oh, I see.
And so like you're just like filling up like a ton of these at a time from the little squeeze bottle, and like
Damn.
you gotta fill up the squeeze bottle from like the big jars where they make it and stuff. It's
I got you. All right. That makes more sense.
So I think I'm like finally in the clear, right? So I'm finally getting to go back to the sauces, right? It'll be chill. I'll be like able to relax finally. And I go to the back and start doing the sauces, and the fucking owner's there, bro. And I'm like, where? Yeah, no shit, he's there. Where else would he have gone? Like, other than fucking home. So he starts chatting me up again, and I'm just like, fuck. So now I gotta like make sure not to spill these sauces when I'm tripping. I can't even see straight. Like, trying not to miss or overflow that shit. And the guy's just like talking to me in another language, and I'm like talking to him back. And then like he finally ends up like leaving. And I finish up the sauces. And I'm like, oh, bet. And like the rush was over at this point. So I go back to front, and like the restaurant's empty. It's like nighttime. And I'm like talking to the other cashier, and I was like, and I start coming down too at this point from the acid, which is nice. Like I'm starting to come down, and I'm talking to the other cashier, and I was like, hey, like I really appreciate you back there. Like you can't, like you saved me back there. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh, like I thought you could see I was like kind of like overwhelmed or whatever. And she's like, oh no, like you're good. Like no, I was just done with the sauces. So I was like, oh okay. Oh, and she's like, why? What's up? And I was like, oh dude, I'm on acid right now. And she's like, you're what? And I was like, yeah, like you really didn't notice? I was tripping the whole time. And she's like, oh, no, dude, I had no idea. That's pretty cool. Then the rest of the shift was chill, man. But that was a fucking experience. I'm not gonna lie.
Dude, yeah. Honestly, having that many different things to like split your focus between, I feel like when I'm tripping, especially, if I only have to do one thing, like even if it requires some coordination or some focus, like I can get it done, but I can only do that one thing. Splitting your focus between different things, those different mobile orders, whatever, the cashier, handing food. Oh, dude, I'm straight up impressed that you were able to knock that one out and that your coworkers didn't even notice. Like that's pretty incredible, man.
Dude, it was lit. Oh, thank you, bro. I was pretty proud of it. It was like, I don't want to say it was a bucket list item because I definitely did not intend to do this by any means. But like in hindsight, I'm glad I was able to like do it so I can have that experience of being like, yeah, like I know I'm confident enough in my psychedelic tolerances to be able to literally work a job on acid. Like now, granted, like I wouldn't walk into my office job today like tripping more than a microdose, you know? Yeah. But yeah, it's a nice little confidence booster, I guess, which is good because like, you know, at the end of the day, your confidence takes you really far with psychedelics.
Yeah, 100%.
Hey hippies, we hope you're enjoying the show so far. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and are having a good time, you need to come over to YouTube and subscribe to the Modern Day Hippie YouTube channel. We publish exclusive video content, and I promise you the experience is richer and more interesting. So if you're getting any value at all, stop what you're doing, open up the YouTube app, and subscribe at Modern Day Hippie. If you're watching this on YouTube and aren't subscribed yet, what are you doing? Go press subscribe. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the show.
No, dude, it's really funny that you mentioned the bucket list thing because I was literally about to mention that. I'm like, I have never been in a position where I've had to like work a job like while I'm tripping or under some major influence of drugs. And that's not something I would ever purposely sign myself up for. Like I wouldn't be like, oh, hey, before I go into work today, I'm going to do a shit ton of acid or shrooms. But part of me is like, damn, like if that ever happens on accident, I would be really curious to see how I performed. Like, would I be able to get by without people noticing? And all things considered, with psychedelics, you have a much higher probability of getting through incognito and getting through all right versus like, you're not going to do that shit when you're drunk. Like, obviously not.
Dude, no, you're going to get caught so fast. And people would suspect it too. Nobody's going to think you're tripping at work. Like, they're just not going to suspect that.
Yeah,
that's true. You know what's crazy, dude? I'm not the first person who was tripping at that job. I found out later that I was talking to one of the other employees, like, at another location when I had to, like, cover a shift at another location. Yeah. And this guy told me that one time he like was eating some shrooms. Like, yeah, I could like do a little microdose, but he ate like too many shrooms and he was full blown tripping during his shift. Which, I mean, shrooms and acid, like, I'm really curious what it would be like to do it on shrooms. Cause like, it's like, remember we were talking about in the last episode how acid, you're more in the driver's seat and shrooms, you're more in the passenger seat. Like, I was able to do it in the driver's seat on acid, you know what I mean? But like, would I have been okay on shrooms? I don't know. I think I would personally. I think it would have been more chill because I think like I was on a lot of acid, bro. Like acid gets intense, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I don't know. Like it's one of those things. Like maybe I'll have to try it one day. I don't know. Like I'll just like get another job and just to fuck around.
And some other random service industry jobs solely so you can rip drugs while you're there. That actually
Oh
be such a
man,
trip, dude. Yeah.
dude,
No,
for real.
honestly, I think like the biggest variable here is it just comes down to the person, and you're someone
Right.
who's very competent at handling your drugs. Like you have a high tolerance for a lot of stuff. I think just naturally you can take a lot, you can handle yourself well. Like you're pretty chilling. Like you're honestly out of anyone I know, you're probably like top 2 or 3 people who I'd be most confident in like doing just about anything while under the influence of drugs.
Specifically
So
psychedelics, but yeah.
yeah, for sure.
It's weird how like being in that situation makes you kind of think of the drug, not the drug itself, but like just think of drugs in general a little bit differently, since I feel like if I'm like trying to like do something creative, then I view psychedelics as like a brain Viagra type of thing, you know, like it just
Yeah, yeah, right.
like it helps, like, you know, like it's it boosts you. But when you're trying to do something like productive that doesn't require much like mental thought, like that job, it's almost like a handicap, dude. It's literally just like putting it on hard mode. And it's not just like psychedelics that do that. Like I realize the same thing with like smoking too much weed. Like I've been in situations where like I've been way too high and I'm like, shit, dude, I just put my life on hard mode for no reason, since I have all these things that I need to do, and now I have to do them high. Like instead of just like enjoying the high, or instead of just like doing them sober. And then, you know,
It's like a lot of these drugs, they boost one part of your brain with the trade-off of inhibiting the other, because just like you mentioned, for creative things, you know, there is some evidence out there that especially psychedelics can really help boost that. But yeah, anything where it's like focus, follow a process, essentially like be a machine, like follow an algorithm, essentially like just for yourself. I think psychedelics would distract me way too much from that. Like
it's distract is the right word.
yeah. Like I'd get really honed in on a step, or just kind of get like lost in the sauce of whatever I'm doing.
Dude, but sometimes you want that. Like we had a buddy who was doing a run for charity while he was homeless the whole time that he was running to raise money for the homeless. And so he ended
Also
up
a
being
wild
homeless for like
story.
4 days. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I do. That is one of the craziest things I have ever known someone to do.
Yeah, this shit was nuts, y'all. Like straight up nuts. Like he was legitimately homeless for 4 days just to like raise money for it. And like honestly, so much fucking respect for him for doing that. Like the guy who he was doing it with like was a, I'm just gonna say it, he was a pussy, bro. Like he like ended up like riding a bike instead of like running, because like they had to run like a certain amount of miles.
Wait, yeah. So the thing was that they were running a full marathon every day,
Right.
and then like not sleeping at home at night. Like even though they could have easily gone home, they just like
Dude, and they that's
just
when he like, I know, like he was telling me that's when he realized how hard it is to be homeless in a big city, like, or at least certain cities, because
yeah.
like he was like, yeah, man, we thought we could just like sleep in the park, and then the sprinklers turned on. And I was like, and then we found like this stairwell, and like we thought we were good, but then like we got kicked out, and then like we ended up finding like another stairwell, and that's where we ended up staying the first night. And I'm just like,
Jesus.
like that's fucking rough. Like,
Yeah.
but anyways, my point is that it was rough, and he wanted to be distracted and just run and not think of anything else other than just running and getting through it. So he took a bunch of acid and then like ran in circles like around like a couple of blocks, which is funny because if you look at his tracking app, like it shows like like it's like him like going all around, and it's just him going in circles a bunch of times. But it worked, like, and he like was able to like get all the miles in and like raise all the money, and like he ended up raising like a shit ton of money like for charity. But yes, I mean that's, I guess it's a tool, and you gotta know how to use it, just like any other tool. You're not going to use a hammer to screw in a screw, you know, like it would just be difficult.
No, exactly. You gotta be smart about it. I wanted to circle back to the point where you said there were like all these different sounds that each of the delivery apps would make when you got an order. I was curious if those noises ever like got to you on a mental level. Like did they ever like startle you, or would you like be out of the restaurant and like think that you hear them or stuff like that?
Thankfully, no, bro. Thankfully, I was so like busy, like honestly, so I couldn't let anything get to me because of how busy I was. Like I literally just had to like, I had to accomplish the task at hand. I had to take the order. I had to like bag up the food. I had to like give it to the right person. Man, the phone calls fucking sucked. Like talking to people on the phone, and it sucks because it's like in person, like you're talking to someone and it's chill, but on the phone, like they're giving you credit card information and you have to like put it in, and
Oh, that's
you
so
just
rough.
can't fuck it up, or else you have to restart inputting the credit card information. So it's like, which I definitely fucked up on. Like I wasn't perfect when I was tripping. Like they, I definitely had to ask people to repeat themselves a couple times, but like I got it done, and that's what matters. And like nobody noticed that like it was because I was fucked up. Like they just thought I couldn't hear it very well. Which, to be fair, bro, like hearing people on a phone, like in a busy restaurant with all these other things going on, like
Dude.
even sober, you're gonna fuck up to putting the
No,
numbers
literally,
down.
like, I can barely do that sober. Like I'm just bad at like registering what someone is saying to the phone, especially if it's like even the slightest bit scratchy. Like I don't think I would have been able to hang in that moment.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But
no, dude.
who knows, man? Maybe I'll run it back eventually. I was thinking of getting like a part-time job at McDonald's, like no cap, because they pay good now, like relatively. It's like $15 an hour for a night shift, and so like if I end up doing that, then maybe I'll fuck around and do some psychs while I'm at it. Maybe I'll try shrooms.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if anything, I feel like night shift would be way more chill to do that for, and then it would also help you stay up if you're getting tired.
It would probably actually like be beneficial. Like it probably wouldn't even be like this story, because like this story was fucking ridiculous, but like it probably would be really chill and kind of a good time. I don't know.
Yeah. As long as you don't overdo it, I think it would be solid. No, dude, but the reason I asked about the beeps, and speaking of McDonald's, is because a while back I was reading this article about how when you work at McDonald's specifically, like every machine at McDonald's, like whether it's like the grill or the oven or like the deep fryer for the fries, like each of those machines is basically like custom made for McDonald's, because there's just so many McDonald's stores. And each machine has different noises and beeps that it makes. And like, because McDonald's is like the pinnacle of fast food, their biggest priority is getting you your food as quickly as possible. Like that's literally what made McDonald's back in the day.
Right.
And so each machine makes like different sounding beeps, so that if you're like working the cash register or you're in a different part of the kitchen, like, you know, like, oh, fries are ready or burger is ready, without even being immediately next to the appliance and seeing what's going on. And so I was literally reading about how people who worked at McDonald's for a long time, they basically got like low-key traumatized by these different beeps, to the point where they were hearing these noises in their dreams.
Oh my God.
They just felt like they couldn't escape these noises. And it's like these specific pitches of beeps would like literally give them like the heebie-jeebies, and just kind of
that
fuck
sounds
with them.
terrible, dude.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible because it's like a beep, you know, versus like the Uber Eats shit and everything like that. They had like a ding and like a dong, like something like kind of pleasant, like, you know, like kind of indicative of what it was representing. But geez, dude, I can't imagine like just a different pitch of a literal beep. Like that sounds awful. But who knows? Maybe I'll figure it out.
Yeah, honestly, you'll have to report back. And honestly, I think for the people where that was the case, like they were working there for a while and they were working long hours. Like I think any sound, no matter how pleasant, if you hear it too often and in too stressful settings, it'll kind of get to you. Like that literally reminds me of at some point when I was growing up, I set one of my favorite songs as my alarm ringtone on my phone.
Oh no.
Like, oh, I'm gonna wake up to my favorite song. Bro, that did not remain my favorite song for long. Like any noise that wakes you up can be the most beautiful tune in the world. At some point you're gonna get so tired of it and be like, fuck this. This just means my sleep is over. And like when you get woken up by an alarm, it does spike some of your like stress hormones. And I think your body gets pretty good at associating that stress with whatever is causing it. So in this case, my favorite song at the time, I ended up being like, fuck this song. I don't like it. It just makes me stressed.
Though.
Yeah.
I got conditioned to hate that song.
No, straight up. Yeah. It's just like alarm bells going off in your head when you're coming out of, very peaceful sleep, and it's early in the morning. You got to get up. Like that just sucks, Yeah. All right, man. Well, appreciate you for sharing that story. I would say my biggest takeaway from it is that if there's any drug that you can hold your shit together well enough to get some job done, it is psychedelics. I stand by that.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Unless you ego death, I guess. But that would just be embarrassing. But within reason,
Yeah, that would be some next level shit. That'd be like,
Yeah, you probably wouldn't if you ego death. You like if I had ego death, I wouldn't have made it to the job. Like you know what I'm saying. So it's not even like a fair comparison. But yeah,
yeah,
let us know
yeah,
in the
true.
comments if any of y'all have done any of your jobs on psychedelics. Be super
Oh,
curious to
yeah.
hear y'all stories.
I want to hear some good stories. So there was psychs, whether you came in work super stoned. I know I had friends who would like purposely get like pretty stoned before going into like their chill service job, but it was never like a busy shift or a busy day. Like they were just chilling. And honestly, final thing I want to say is like, I feel like most people in your shoes would have just not showed up to that shift at all. And they would have let their friend and their brother get fucked over. But you didn't do that. You showed up and you're a good dude, Reggie. I appreciate you for that.
Thanks, Yuki. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And with that, that's today's pod.
You've been listening to Modern Day Hippie. As you exit the portal, we have just one small ask of you. If you learned something new today, had a laugh, or resurfaced a drug story of your own, we want to hear about it. Drop us a comment on YouTube and show us some love on your favorite podcasting platforms. Internet algorithms really dog on us because of the topics that we discuss, so your support goes even further here than you might think. We'll catch you next week.